So we're less than a week out from All In Week really kicking off with Dynamite next Wednesday. So I mean, how you feeling? Is it shaping up how expected it to be?
Absolutely. I'm really excited about AEW All In Week. It's going to be a great time, and it's going to be a really important week in pro wrestling. AEW is having our best year ever, I really believe. And this is the biggest week of the year. Coming to Arlington, Texas next Saturday afternoon for AEW All In at Globe Life Field. It's our biggest single event of the entire year, and it's our biggest single event ever in North America. And I think in many ways, it's the biggest event ever in the company because we're having such a great year in AEW right now. Our TV shows have been red hot, our pay per views have been great. And this is the single biggest pay per view we'll do all year in the best year we've ever had. The week is going to be filled with great events. Wednesday Night Dynamite in Garland live on TBS next Wednesday. It's going to be huge. We just had the 300th episode of Wednesday Night Dynamite hours ago, and it was one of the best episodes ever. The 300th episode felt like a top five episode, which is saying something. That's in a very elite company when you've done 300 of those. And episode 301 next Wednesday in Dallas. It's going to be a great go home show ahead of the pay per view. And I can't wait for that. And then the go home episode, the final episode before the pay per view of AEW Collision is going to be on a Thursday. And speaking of the big milestones, this Saturday, we're celebrating the 100th episode of Saturday Collision. Next week, Collision won't be on Saturday. The pay per view is on Saturday afternoon. We're going to do Collision on Thursday night. So we've got Wednesday night on TBS. We've got Thursday night on TNT. And then Saturday is the huge pay per view. It's an afternoon show, Globe Life Field. And Arlington, Texas is a great place for this. The city has been so great to us. And overall, the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex is one of the greatest wrestling territories, really, in the history of wrestling. It's so iconic. A lot of young fans became familiar with it recently because of the Iron Claw movie. And veteran fans who've been around wrestling, watching wrestling for years, know the history of the Von Erich family, world class championship wrestling, great promotion the Von Erich family ran around Dallas Fort Worth. And there's still so many great wrestling fans from that time. So whether you're a new wrestling fan or you've been watching for years, we would love it if you would join us next Saturday afternoon at Globe Life Field. It's going to be a great show. We're going to get started like a football kickoff. The events are going to get started around noon, and the pay-per-view will go live then early afternoon. It's going to be a great way to spend a Saturday. I promise you, Globe Life Field is such a wonderful venue, and this will be our first time ever doing an event in Globe Life Field. And in fact, in the 6 years of AEW history, this is the first pay-per-view we've ever done in Texas. It's been building to this for a long time. Fans have been asking for a long time, when is AEW going to do a huge Texas pay-per-view? And we went as big as possible for this one next Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, great. Yeah, you mentioned this is your first U.S. stadium show. Did when you started this all 6 years ago, did you have a timeline of, I want to do a U.S. stadium show by this period, or was it just whenever it felt right? Is this sooner or later than you expected?
It's really something that I never knew we had to do. It's something that I always felt like I would only want to do it if the company had built to the point where it made sense. And at the very beginning, that would be such a lofty goal. It's so amazing when a company can bring an arena filled with people for a pro wrestling show. And at the beginning of AEW, that was what we were trying to accomplish, was getting over 10,000 people to come to a wrestling show in an arena. And that was a really major event. Now we've been able to do that many times and have these great pay-per-view events and consistently get those kinds of crowds. It's trying something very different to try to put a baseball stadium filled with fans. And I know we're going to have a great crowd. There's still great tickets available for this show. They're very affordable. AEW's done a great job, in my opinion, pricing this past year. Uh, we are a challenger brand in pro wrestling. We've grown so quickly, and we are a major international promotion. Again, we do television every Wednesday on TBS, and those shows also stream on Max. And every Saturday on TNT, those shows stream on Max. The exception and the time shift there, again, next Saturday, we'll be doing the show on Thursday because we've got our big pay per view event Saturday afternoon, all in Texas.
Yeah. And the other big show for your other brand, Supercard of Honor, is also next weekend. And, that's something that for nearly 20 years has been associated with WrestleMania weekend. What, I guess, motivated you to move it away from that and attach it to this All-In weekend coming up?
Well, I think it makes a lot of sense for AEW. We've had some major events in the company. And in particular, we just ran Arena Mexico, which was such a special place. And I felt like we'd be able to put some great matches for Ring of Honor in Arena Mexico, grow the prestige of Ring of Honor, which I really believe we have in the past month or two. And there's already been great prestige around the company. The women's world champion, Athena, who is somebody who lives around Dallas, is a native of the area and a great, great wrestler. Athena has been the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion for several years, and she actually won the championship in Arlington, Texas, 3 years ago. And looking at Ring of Honor and how the promotion's grown, we have a great women's champion, we have a great roster, and now we have a great men's world champion who is a top Lucha Libre star and has gone and defended the championship in Arena Mexico against top talent. And the ROH Global Wars event that we collaborated with CMLL on was just tremendous. I think it was one of the best television episodes Ring of Honor's ever done. And it sets us in a really good position when we come in for All In week to bring Supercard of Honor to that week, which is so important to AEW. And it's a great position for ROH. And I think ROH will be even hotter now, and the events will be even hotter because we set the stage for some great matches in Arena Mexico at the ROH Global Wars event.
Yeah, and I remember last year, the ROH pay-per-view here, I was at the press conference, and you mentioned you were thinking about a potential rebranding for Ring of Honor to AEW Ring of Honor, and I know, obviously that hasn't happened yet. Is that something you're still thinking about, or where are you at? What are you thinking about, like, in relation to building the Ring of Honor brand at this point?
Well, it's a great question. I still think there's a great chance to develop ROH, and we really have done a lot of work to develop ROH. They're unique companies. Structurally, I think that does make a lot of sense, and I still think there is merit to that. But there are also a lot of reasons why I've positioned it the way I have. Ring of Honor, I still think we have a chance to strike at great opportunities. AEW has made huge media rights deals that have changed the landscape for all wrestling companies, including ROH. And any deal we do, it's got to make really good sense for everyone involved, including us at ROH and also AEW. So that is something I've considered. It's a great question. It's a good memory by you. And right now, I think we've done a great job positioning the company as leaders with leading champions like Athena and Bandito.
Yeah, and the other, we're talking about Collision and Dynamite, and late last year we saw Rampage come to an end. Talking about making deals. Can you shed any light? Are you working on bringing a third AEW TV show, making that happen, or where are you at with that?
It's a great question there. I think we've done a great job in 2025 focusing now on the two primary AEW shows that we're doing, which are Wednesday Night Dynamite and Saturday Night Collision. Although in Garland next week, Saturday Night Collision is actually going to move to Thursday. And we've had some great experiences doing these collisions on Thursday nights. There's always potential to expand the AEW programming calendar. Right now, things have worked really well with Dynamite and Collision. But as we're having a great year, it's always something to consider. There's definitely an opportunity to continue growing the AEW media rights, continuing to grow and develop new platforms for AEW. But certainly in 2025, right now, we're feeling great about Wednesday Night Dynamite and Saturday Night Collision as the primary TV shows today.
Sure. Great. Um, and you mentioned earlier, obviously you guys have run these big shows in other countries like Mexico. You have a show in Australia earlier this year, plus the joint show at the Tokyo Dome in Japan. Do you have your eyes on I don't, you don't need any specifics, but do you have your eyes on any other countries moving forward in the near future for AEW?
Well, that's a great question. We've expanded absolutely. This year, we've seen new events, as you said, in Australia and Mexico. And now we're going back to countries where we've had a lot of success. Of course, biggest events of the year here in the US, but also huge events coming up in the UK and in Canada. Those have been very successful for us. We want to keep going back to all these markets because we've had great debuts now in Mexico and Australia. In Canada and UK have been such great markets for us year in, year out. So focusing on those, yes, absolutely. I would like to do some international expansion, but we've made really ambitious moves just this year and recent years. So continuing to develop those right now is definitely the big strategy.
Sure. Great. Um, and something I'm curious about, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. WWE is counter programming All In with NXT's Great American Bash. How do you react to things like this now? Does that tick you off? Or is it just something you expected? How do you deal with that?
Well, I think we're going to put on a great event, and we have to focus on putting on the best event we can with the best wrestlers in the world. So that's a lot of fun. So we're going to have a great show next Saturday afternoon. And we're very focused on what AEW is doing and the AEW fans. And I think that served us really well.
Sure. Great. Um, And one more thing about WWE, they just ran a show in Saudi Arabia. They've making all these deals with these state sponsor shows. Is that is that something you think AEW would ever consider making deals with countries to hold shows there?
Well, it depends on the situation. I think, it's all about the details. So it would have to be a deal that made sense for that territory and especially for us here at AEW.
Okay, great. Um, and just one more thing, we were talking about. I know you're mid class, you're mid South Tony, but this is world class territory as we were talking about. Do you have any favorite memories or wrestlers from the peak days of world class?
Yeah, I do. I'm a huge fan of the Von Erich family, and I thought their rivalry with the Freebirds is iconic. There was a huge event that transpired Christmas night, 1982. That was my first Christmas on the planet. I was 0 years old, but years later, I was able to go back and watch the Ric Flair versus Kerry Von Erich cage match from Christmas 1982. That is a great event. That is a great show. That is a great match and a great main event, and it set the stage for really exciting wars in years to come between the Von Erichs and the Freebirds. We have had the great pleasure to work with Kevin Von Erich and his sons Ross and Marshall in AEW, and they're actually going to be at AEW All In. They'll be at the ROH Supercard as well to have Kevin Von Erich come to the show with Ross and Marshall Von Erich, who are part of the World Six-Man Tag Team Champions in ROH, Dustin Rhodes. They're doing a great job, and it's great to be associated with the Von Erich family. And some of my favorite memories of world-class wrestling definitely involve the Von Erichs, the Freebirds, Ric Flair, and the great tag team rivalry between the Midnight Express and the Fantastics.
Yeah, those are all great. Okay. Awesome. Well, again, thanks so much for your time, Tony. And
Oh, great to see you, Paul. Thanks for doing this with me.
yeah, sure. And yeah, looking forward to all the shows. So
Well, thanks, man. It's great to see you.
great seeing you.